It's under there, I think.
Okay, we're live.
Okay, welcome everybody. So just before we get going with the agenda, a few housekeeping announcements. So firstly, I think probably already mentioned, please note the location of fire exits and in case of a fire, please leave by the nearest exit, which may be behind you and assemble in the car park. Please make sure you switch off your mobile phones and other devices to silent and please be aware that the meeting is being live streamed and recorded. And yeah, we haven't got any members of the public I'm expecting to speak, so
Nope. Nobody's present.
There. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so onto the agenda then. So firstly, apologies for absence received. Please,
Thank
Mark.
you, Chair. Yes, so we have apologies from Councillor Mortimer Cook, has a family commitment. Councillor Frankland has a HDC meeting commitment, and Councillor Frank a personal commitment. Thank you.
Okay, and then do we also note that Councillor Albro hopefully will...
hopefully he's not
will.
here. Yeah, no problem.
Okay, so second on the agenda then, declarations of interest.
So, yes, so item 7 allotment report I have from a plot holder at Shelley's allotment.
Thank you. Noted that.
Councillor Fletcher.
My husband's a plot holder at Shelley Allotments.
I'm
I was going to say, I don't think that would be because it's not you personally, but
No.
yeah, I'll make a note of it. Thank you.
a plot holder at Clarence Road allotment.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm always trying to top
You just buy all your vegetables.
Thank you.
Number one top for surplus projects now.
Thank you. Okay.
Anything else? No. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So number 3 then, please, minutes from the previous meeting. So decision required to approve the minutes from the previous meeting.
Yes. So if anyone has any comments or any feedback, we can take that now. Or otherwise, if there's no comments, if you want to invite somebody to propose the minutes.
Councillor Thompson, and seconded by Councillor Fletcher.
Thank you.
And is that unanimous? Yeah.
Thank you. Brilliant. If you wouldn't mind signing those, thank you. Got a copy there for you. Yeah. Please initial the bottom of each page and then there's space to sign and date on the back. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So yeah, we've got no members of the public tonight, so we'll move past the public participation step. So number 5, the finance update, please, Clark.
Thank you. So hopefully you've all had an opportunity. So these are the Scribe finance software accounts that I've generated for this meeting. The first one is the summary of receipts and payments, and it's broken down with the cost centres and codes. So hopefully everybody's had an opportunity to look at that, and that all made sense to you all. If there are any queries or you wanted to dig deeper into any of the cost codes or centres, please do let me know. I can provide that for another meeting or email you if you prefer. The second is about the VAT schedule. So that's the Form 126, which enables us to reclaim the VAT. And as you see, we've got £882.23 that we can claim. And I'll be doing that this week because that's the first quarter. Even though we were not operating from the 1st of April, it's good to get into a rhythm. So this will be the first quarter, end of June would be the first quarter. And then the last one is the bank reconciliation. And that just shows you the receipts, the payments, and obviously the system has A and B to check. And it's calculated as well, because I've done the reconciliation with the bank statement and it all balances. So hopefully that all made sense to everybody. But if anyone's got any queries, please.
Just an observation, and there's not really anything you can do about it as
Yeah.
long as how it's set up. But,
Yes.
but the fact that the budget is the total amount for the year, and the actual is the actual, and then it says variance. And it's not really my idea of a variance, because that means it'll be a variance right up until, that is unrepresentative right up until the end of the year. But maybe that's just the accounting.
Yeah.
It just makes the variance column not particularly helpful.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. No problem. I'll see if there's an alternative report, and I'll
Yeah.
see. Yeah. Thank you.
Just really was going to ask if you were aware of anything that was about to come that was going to disturb the peaceful progress of these.
There's nothing that I'm aware of at the moment. Obviously, anything that's going to come from contingency funds is coming to the full council. And you'll see there's a report this evening. The chair has put in a request. But yeah, everything else is running to the budget, and I'm not expecting there to be any problems. But obviously we need to get halfway through the year, end of September. That'll be the time when we can really start looking at forecasting, because at the moment, obviously, we've only paid a few invoices, and but there isn't anything I'm aware of at the moment.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? So again, I think we've got a decision here, haven't we? Just to
Yes, please.
approve and note the reports. Anybody like to propose?
Councillor Boffey.
Councillor Boffey, and second, Councillor Makin,
Thank you.
and then a vote.
Yeah, approved.
Yeah,
Thank you
approved.
very much. And if you wouldn't mind signing, oh, there it is. So I've just prepared, so I've put my name, a date, and then approved by, because it's just been approved. Thank you on that line.
Perfect, thank you.
Signature, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank
I'll
you.
keep that for the audit purposes.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
Okay, so moving on to item 6 on the agenda, so the speed indicator device update for awareness. Please, Clark.
Thank you. And actually, since the agenda was published, there is a further little update, which I'll share at the end of updating you with the report. So obviously the last meeting, there was a request that we have a bit more in depth about the speed indicator devices, as they are our actual assets for the town council. So this is the update following the first scheduled maintenance visit. There's actually a second visit tomorrow, so it's happening again. It's a monthly visit. The background is that the network, they said, was working overall in a good condition and operating satisfactorily. There were a few little operational matters during the inspection, but they have now been addressed. Things like there was a spare battery they knew for one of the devices, which I've managed to locate, and some keys that were missing as well. So we've found those. So basically, the data collection is the part. I have a slight update for you. So there was only one device they managed to recover the data, because a lot of them had too much data and you couldn't download it. So they've set them all back to nothing, and now they should tomorrow be in a position where they can recover the data from all of 6, because we've actually got 6, not 7. One of them we're still awaiting. And I've spoken to the police, and they're very interested in having access to the data. Mm-hmm. I thought this had happened previously, but it hasn't, not to Inspector Durkin's knowledge. Okay. So what I'm proposing is, for full council next week, we can have a data policy, a data sharing policy that I'll bring to members, because it seems to me very sensible to share data like that with the police, because they said it will help them as well with. So that's what I'll be doing next week. So it just to update this committee. I'm sorry I didn't know about it until I published the agenda.
Fully support that.
Yeah. So that was just a brief update. If there's anything else in the report that you want to query, or any more information you want, please, I'm happy to take.
Sorry, let's ask a question. Obviously, they need to be there to get the data download. I'm surprised that they can't pick that up.
The contractor.
Yeah.
So basically, they
standalone units.
They said the last visit, most of the devices had too much information on, where it wasn't practical to download it. I don't know whether that's a time factor where it would have taken too long.
Okay. So when we say download it, we mean remotely.
Yeah.
So, okay.
And they're going to do that tomorrow because all of them were reset so that they'll be not have too much. When I spoke to one of the volunteers, he said what's been happening is they over-record. So I think some of them have over-recorded, some have just not been downloaded. The data hasn't been downloaded for a while.
Yeah.
So, but the one that they did manage was still from April. So it's quite a long period. So I don't know, because I'm obviously not, I don't have all the background. I haven't spoken to all the volunteers that have been looking after the devices. So it's a bit difficult now as well, as all the neighbourhood councils have dissolved. So, but I've spoken to 2 volunteers and met with one of them out on site. So it was really useful. And I've got a couple of photographs because I think as well, there was a little bit of uncertainty of what these speed indicator devices look like. I think somebody thought it was a handheld device. So it was good as well for members to understand exactly what these are on, they're fairly large devices, and they're, one's on a lamp column, the others are on posts. So, yeah.
So a few questions here. My feeling is that of the 2 locations in Den, that the Hills Farm Lane is probably the more useful site compared with Blackbridge Lane, which is where it is at the moment.
Okay.
So if we don't have the data, it's hard to make a direct comparison. So the question is how we're going to manage, or how we're going to manage the rotation of sites.
Yes.
And when they're planning to do that. And my suspicion is that what we ought to be doing is, if anything, edging towards keeping it in Hills Farm Lane for more time than it is in.
Thank you. That's useful to know. So what they were proposing was to turn them each visit so that they're both directions, but then obviously the one where you've got 2 sites for the one device, move it after it had been turned.
Yeah.
So, but I can feed that back. Thank you. That's good to know. If you feel that it's more useful to be at Hills Farm Lane than it is at Blackbridge.
Well, that's what I expect.
Okay.
So it's good to know that at least they've got a system there to start from.
Yes.
So the second question was, when they're downloading the data, are they giving you it as an Excel file, or how is it coming through to you?
So it's coming through as per my sharing. I shared the document with you. I think it was a PDF.
Yeah, it was a very, it's quite a long report.
A lot of lines.
Lots of graphs, lots of data for people that
Yes.
enjoy data.
Yes.
Oh dear, sorry.
That's okay.
Well, in that case, I would be reading it all.
But in the report,
PDF,
that's right. In the report, I did break it down for you as well, so that you didn't have to wade through all of that to pick out the highlights.
No, so if it's a PDF, it's not going to be easy to kind of.
I think it's from memory.
Place and over time.
I think from memory, I think it's a CSV file as well, but I'll need to go back to my.
Oh right. Well, I need to look properly in my.
It was a 124-page report.
Well, that was a clever one to miss, wasn't it?
Yeah, we can have a look if you want.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, yeah.
I'll report back, Councillor Fletcher, because
Yes.
Yeah.
It's quite a lot.
and tomorrow
It's got all
I
the
should
data there.
Yes.
I'll report back on that. And tomorrow, when I've obviously got a lot more reports from the contract, I'll be able to share those with you all.
Yes. So the third question was a bit. I think there have been data downloads in the past. When you spoke to the other neighbourhood councils, had they sort of mentioned having got previous data available still?
So nobody's offered any previous data. What I have been told is it used to be shared with the neighbourhood councillors,
Yes.
and it used to be shared with Speedwatch volunteers. But nobody's told me that any of the data was ever shared with the police. So that's, I just assumed, I reached out to the police thinking it was automatically what had been happening. But to their knowledge, it hasn't. So
I think I got one lot of data from the Hills Farm Lane one. And so presumably there is other data. It might be worth asking Mr. Sitton whether he's got a collection of it.
Thank you.
Just so that if we wanted to sort of look at whether they really are doing their job compared with what's happened before.
Okay, thank you.
And I guess just maybe from my understanding in terms of what role we're playing, obviously this is one of the few assets we now or currently have with the town council? You know, is there a role that was previously the neighbourhood councils were playing? You know, have we picked that up fully? Is that handover happened, or is there a kind of a, I don't know, for those that kind of know the history here, is there continuity of what was happening before with what we're doing now, or is there something more we should do here?
I mean, I think in terms of how the data was used in Trafalgar, who had the longest history of it, I don't know. Den only just got them, so they had their main activity was actually recent activity was actually getting the SID to happen. And Forest are sort of in between, aren't they? So.
I suppose just wondering, you know, what role we play versus Wilbur with the sighting of them and those kind of things.
I think it's. I think our role that we're inheriting would be from the neighbourhood councils, would be to think about in an ongoing basis about whether they were the appropriate thing to have in the appropriate place and an appropriate quantity of them, and also to look at was there anything we wanted to do in addition that we were learning from the data. So, for example, communicating with Speedwatch or the police to say if we felt that some further intervention was useful.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't really know what Trafalgar were doing in terms of download. I've never seen one of these reports before, but I wasn't a member there. I was an attendee when I could. So I don't know whether they've been using it or downloading it, what have you. I think really our role is kind of a sort of a strategic role in terms of what do we want the network to look like, where do we want the locations to be, and when do we want them to be in certain locations, and do we want to add any additional locations based on reports we get in from the public where we think there's issues that need looking at. I mean, I think at the moment, one of the things that's a possibility about the fact that now there's one council looking after these things, and we've already kind of got a stock of 6 or 7 of them. You can put them in, you can use them in more than 6 or 7 locations. So, you know, every one that you get actually is a kind of a force multiplier for what you do, because of the nature of the fact that you can put additional posts in different places and move them around. So in a way it's quite good that that's sort of the pooled resource, because it gives you more flexibility in what you do.
Yeah.
Interesting on here that this report suggesting that in one direction they've got 97% compliance with the speed limit and 97, just over 97 one way and 97 the other. So that's pretty good in that location. So in some ways that would suggest maybe somewhere else is a better idea.
Yeah, well, I think when that location was chosen, the original idea was it would be sort of on the straight.
Yeah.
And it got put, you know, for technical reasons, it ended up sort of not exactly where it's expected.
Yeah. I mean, one of my other questions sort of got answered earlier, because I'd noticed that the one on Manayfield Drive was now pointing the other way, and I didn't know whether that was a deliberate choice or whether that was on the way back from the pub.
It was deliberate.
It was deliberate.
Yeah.
And my only question around that, I'm sure it's okay, but all I know is that you have to get the sites approved by, is it highways or is it the police or is it both? I'm not too sure.
Highways.
And what I don't know is when they do that, do they verify it in both directions? As in, is
Yes.
pointing both ways authorised?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
if it is, then that's fine. That was just something I wanted to
So
check.
that's something that if we want to add more sites, the contact is the highways manager,
George Fort, yes.
And doing that bit of it is actually quite cheap
Yeah.
and easy.
Yeah.
And with West Sussex, it costs more money if you want to get Wilbar to
Okay.
install a new position on
Yeah.
the highway for you, and
Mhm.
that was quite a hefty sum of money.
Yeah.
And then the other issue that we came across was we were looking at whether we could have one on Warnen Road where the lorries and the traffic sort of thunders down past the nature reserve, and it can be really fast and there are people trying to cross. And it was, there was a limited pavement width, so there are criteria on that. So that it didn't go there because it would have needed to go into a privately owned bit of land, which is okay.
Yeah.
But in place like that, you actually need to get permission from the landowner
Householder.
to put it there.
My only other question as well was around this point to do with the data download, because you say that they've reset them today, and then
Last month.
Last month.
Yeah.
Right, last month.
Yeah.
So when they come round to collect the data, they're only going to be collecting the last month.
Yes.
Right? Not So basically, from resetting it, whatever was there before was purged.
Yeah.
And it's been cleaned up. Okay.
Yeah.
Fine.
Councillor
Oh,
Thompson?
sorry, Glenn.
So there are just 2 points. So one on the data collection side, you also mentioned that some were too full up. Have we, with the new process now, make sure that when they do collect it, we've never got to that stage of it
Yes.
having too much data. And obviously
Yes.
if some are being used a lot more than others because of their location. Might we need to look at, actually this one needs to be collected every week as opposed to this one every 3 months? Or
Yeah.
something,
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
On that
Yeah.
sort of thing. And the only other thing, sort of just picking up from what you're saying, is obviously there's a lot of data coming in which we're not really sure what we're doing with it. Now, obviously, there's a cost and maintenance to all these things. So I think, whether it's at this committee or another one, we actually go, right, what do we need these for? Because if it's a safety reassurance thing, which just shows you speed, do we need the data if we're not going to do anything with it? But knowing that the public are actually assured, and does that reduce costs, or actually are we going to sit down and go, do you know what, this location we need to do something with because we're getting the data, and it's that actually the police and whoever involved to sort that. So I think it would be nice from us as a council just to understand what do we want out of these machines before we start investing too much.
You might know this, but my understanding, as I didn't deal with Wilbar directly, was that their standard maintenance package, they download the data as just part of it.
Yes,
It's just a little
that's correct.
Bluetooth thing, and they're sort of standing up their pole, and it takes a few seconds and doesn't affect the cost. But
No, yeah, it's all part of the package because they've got to swap batteries, check, general maintenance, and I think even trim shrubs and things that could be interfering and things like that. And just to alert you all as well, I'm sure you all remember, but George Fort is coming to the full council meeting next week, so that would be an opportunity to ask him anything as well on the licensing side if members want to.
So one of a couple of other things on this. I think possibly one of the reasons why, if it needs someone who knows what they're doing to go and do the downloading of the information, I think, and that's part of this contract, it's possible that one of the reasons that wasn't happening was maybe there wasn't a contract in place before because the neighbourhood councils didn't have the funding
That's
with
right.
which to actually do that. So in some ways it kind of stands to reason that all this data is built up because there was no one there to actually do the downloading and the harvesting of it. In terms of what do we use it for, I think, yes, there is a safety reassurance to it. I think depending on different locations and whether it's a case of working out if there's an issue there or not, the data is then can be useful in terms of being an evidence base of whether something needs to actually be done. And I know that there'll be different opinions around speed limits and speed rates and what have you, but the one thing I am kind of, at least it used to be the case, is that I don't know the percentages now, but if you wanted to drop in the speed limit, they would only consider that if the majority, and I don't remember the percentage of the amount of speed there was within 5 miles an hour of the amount you wanted to drop it to. So this actually creates the data here, and I was a bit concerned when I looked at the pie charts because it seemed to kind of just bracket everything from 15 to 35, 30 miles per hour together, but that's probably to do with what the speed limit is actually set there. But as I look at some of the graphs down here, or actually it gives you the speed of everything, so that's just to do with how the report is collating, so whether there's a way they can reconfigure the cut of the data when they put the report together to sort of, instead of going 15 to 30, it was like, if there was a further cut down of like 20 to 25, or
Okay.
25 to 30, that might be helpful.
Yeah.
Just in terms of an at a glance view of what you're looking at.
I can ask. Yeah.
Yes, I think that I'm looking at the graphs, I think there's a general point I found was some of it was hiding some of the data, not deliberately, but some of the columns, the way it was presented wasn't necessarily the easiest to
look.
absorb the information. So
Okay.
again, that probably fits in the same bracket of how
Yeah.
we want to see this data and
Yeah.
what are we interested in doing with it, therefore how do we want it presented.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
It's just a final point from me, which is to say, in terms of what the purpose of this is, obviously having data is potentially useful, but I think the primary purpose that was in people's minds to have them was actually to influence behaviour and make it a safer place and encourage people to, not just that place, but be aware of driving safely generally. So it's not just about the data, the primary purpose is about the visible display and what impact that has.
I think that's right, but I think but some of this is actually where quite a lot of the marginal cost of the contract comes from, because, you know, when they're there. A lot of what you're paying for is that servicing of them and getting the information. So you just, you know, guess in terms of value for money, you have to be confident that you're getting value for money by doing that, I think is what the data is saying. So, yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay, everyone, I don't think there's any decisions on this one, so just in case
No,
of
yep, so
everyone's
no,
comfortable,
thank
move
you.
on. Obviously some actions there.
Yes.
Thank you. So moving on to item number 7, the allotment report.
Thank you, Chair. Okay, so again, the last meeting, it was talked about the financial position and the maintenance overview of the allotment sites. So hopefully this has been helpful. I've broken it down for you, so you've got the background and listed the sites and given you the Horsham Town Allotment Societies, because that obviously information is on the District Council website. Also the acreage size of each site. So again, that sort of then brings out the larger sites and the smaller sites for you. The income, I haven't actually checked the bank today. I did last week. We hadn't received the income. I do understand that the officer that's doing it was on leave. So I'm hoping this week the funds will hit our bank account. But I've been told that the income 1st of April to the 30th of September, they do have in their account £7,705. So looking at that, because there will be further invoices going out on the 1st of September, and I've advised that the Town Council will be in position then to take over the invoicing. So from the 1st of September, the Town Council will be issuing those invoices. So taking that into consideration, the estimated income is £15,410. We did actually have an estimate of £16,000 in the budget. So there is a slight shortfall there. And obviously I'll be keeping an eye on the information that's going to come through about the expenditure, because at the moment I have been in contact with the District Council. I'm waiting for one of the officers to come back to me with the information and the breakdown, because I did have that information for the budget purposes. It was estimated £4,000, and there is, I shared with you the works that they consider are appropriate. There's an annual hedge cut at Depot Road allotments, 1 grass cut at Bird Farm, and 15 grass cuts at Clarence Road. And I haven't been out to the sites, I must admit, so I'm not familiar with the sites, but it does seem a bit strange that there are a lot more grass cuts in one site than another. There's probably a good reason for that, which I've said in the report, but obviously until I've got a bit more information and spoken to the societies directly, I'm not in a position to speculate about that. But I've given you all the information I've got to date. And I've recommended that you note the current financial position, you note the absence, because Highwood allotments, I'm told, are paying a peppercorn rent at the moment, but that is due to end February 2027. So there obviously needs to be a conversation later this year with that allotments society. And basically, I think it'd be a very good idea to arrange a meeting with the allotment societies. I'm sure some of you know them and, you know, or have dealings with them. But I think if we could arrange a meeting where everybody's present and this committee, so that you know, we can sit around and have conversations with everybody to make sure everybody's happy with the arrangements, and the town council obviously are now managing the sites. And then also, I mean, this doesn't have to happen this summer, but a review of the allotment income and the grounds maintenance provision once we have the firm details from the district council, because I do have 2 other contractors that I've reached out to, but until I know the exact specification, I can't really get those 2 second quotes. But that's my intention, to get further quotes once I know from the district council the exact specification of what it is they're providing and how much it costs. I'm sure it won't come in more cost effective through an outside contractor, because of course the district council has a big grounds maintenance contract. So they're clearly going to get better rates than we could on our own. Also, so I've just said, I recommend as well you request a further report to be brought back to this committee with a bit more detailed financial information. That's all about the expenditure mostly, a maintenance cost analysis, and a recommendation for a sort of standardised approach, because I think it sounds as if there's a few different things going on at different allotment sites, and so there might be a plausible reason for that, but until we meet up with the societies, it's a bit difficult to speculate. Happy to take any questions.
So I think that the most important thing from my perspective is to say that I see our role as the town council as a sort of guardian in this sense, to protect and sort of enhance the amenity for the public.
Yes.
This not to see this as an asset that should be sweated.
No.
And I
Agreed.
think it's really important that we go into it with that view.
Yeah.
So the second point is that we're all new to this as sort of having responsibility for the allotments, and the allotment societies have been there in some cases for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
There may well be incredibly good reasons why each allotment is happy running the way it has been.
Yes.
So you don't necessarily want to impose standardisation. Well, we don't want to impose standardisation for standardisation's sake.
No.
But I think the first thing to do before we try to touch anything must be to talk to the allotment association people.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we can get them to come here, but hopefully after they've been given a chance, any of them who do communicate with their members, to ask their members' views as well.
Yeah.
Because there's not, the members don't always engage in particularly much with their committees. So the committees may benefit from hearing from their members too.
Yes.
And I think we should be asking them how it's going and what things they think are going well and what things are not going well and what things they'd like and not like in a fairly open way.
Yes.
On that.
Yes.
Before we try to sort of touch anything about grounds contracts or anything else.
Okay.
On the finance of it, I noticed you noted that it was how much each allotment was paying, and they're obviously different sizes, and they all have different effective percentages that are productive allotment versus sort of access bits and so on. So I think in terms of understanding how the costs of them all work, you probably need to look at it at the cost per rod of rentable land.
Yes.
Because some of them will have 5 rod plots and some of them will have 10 rod plots or whatever they've got. In order to understand how effective, effectively how much it's costing people to be in an allotment.
Yes.
And also it would be useful to make sure we understand what the current situation is on waiting lists across the town.
Yeah.
So that was that. I'd be interested to be involved in any meeting that we have. And for Highwood, which is in my ward, just to note that that is a very new allotment, and also to note that it tends to be underwater for
Oh,
a
okay.
significant part of the year when
Okay.
we have heavy rain. So in terms of how those allotments can be used, they're going to be slightly different from some of the other ones,
Others.
because if you've got a stream running across your allotments in February, you're not going to necessarily be growing your leeks then.
No. Thank you.
I was going to ask something. I think when it comes to the Highland ones, I don't know really anywhere near much about it as Ruth, but I think getting a full download before speaking to anyone about it of history to date and why things are the way they are is wise in terms of what expectations, if any, about how things will be in the future have been generated. Because, you know, is there any kind of expectation or understanding that when this peppercorn rent comes to an end in February 2027, whether that was just going to be renewed at peppercorn rent or whether there was going to be any change? I did sort of note that there isn't a society contact for that on here yet. So
No.
how is it actually being run? Is it being run in the same way as all the other ones, or is it not? Don't
I'm
know.
told there is now a society.
Okay, well
I
that's
haven't
good.
spoken to any people.
Yeah, but that probably just needs checking up on, I would think.
Yeah.
I agree with what Ruth says about it not being an asset there for the purposes of
No.
generating income. The only thing I would just sort of say is when you say there's kind of differentials in how they're being managed, and that may be to do with the preference of the society and how they want to run it, but is that reflected in what they're paying, or is it not? If you see what I mean, because obviously there is a cost being borne by someone for that level of maintenance,
Yeah.
and it just sort of needs to be fair and appropriate, I would suggest. The last thing I just mentioned in terms of the rent getting paid over from HDC to the town council, I know it's had the authorisation sign off to do that, because I made sure that it was advertised it was authorised by someone who wasn't also on the town council, because two
Thank you.
people it went to are, and I said you need to go to the deputy leader and finance cabinet member, because he's from Billingshurst, and that way the sign off
Separation.
Thank you.
and he approved it, so it has
Thank
been
you.
approved.
Thank you. That's good to know.
So just one question, I think I know the answer to it, which is, I see these are allotment societies, but there isn't a portion allotment society across the board, no.
Not to my knowledge, and say all this information I've got from the district council website. So I don't know who to contact at the moment, but obviously now I've got the contact for the societies, I can reach out to them, seek a meeting, because the other thing I haven't got yet as well are the leases. So obviously the district council have copies, so I'm waiting for those as well, because those should shed light for everybody as well, give us a bit more detail. Where I worked previously, there was an allotment working group. I don't know if that's something that the societies would welcome. It was an opportunity, because we only had 2 allotment sites there, but it was an opportunity for the site reps and anyone who was on the allotment association to come along and meet with some of the councillors. And once a year, there used to be a big meeting where all plot holders, it was quite a big meeting. I think it was about 50 people, but it was an opportunity for plot holders to come along and, you know, speak about things that they had concerns, or, you know, if they've got new ideas. There's all sorts of things you can do on allotment sites as well. You can go for green flag awards, you know, do competitions to encourage. So it's got scope to do, but I think you're right, until you speak to the societies, because they might be in a position where they're all running their own individual plots. They're more than happy and they don't want to have a big joined up. But it just depends really, and until we've had that conversation, obviously you won't know.
Shelley allotments on Redford Avenue for the last couple of years did actually have one of their people was a neighbourhood councillor. That hadn't always historically been the case, but Ed Coulson was on the neighbourhood council, and I know that they've done quite a lot of work on sustainability, really. You know, an awful lot of rainwater harvesting going in, things like that, to try and reduce the amount of mains water they're having to do in projects like that. So the societies are all going to be different, but sure they're all doing different and interesting things.
Sorry, just what I said and also what Martin said there, because I may be wrong, but I don't think there's a lot of interaction between the different societies. I may be wrong on that, but I've not seen it, and I have, I sit within the Shelley's area, and then other times I'm exposed to Chesworth people, and they talk about what they're doing there. So that's interesting. So I suppose this is more for the allotment societies themselves, but there is, good practice like the things Mark was talking about, into rainwater harvesting and other things that are going on some allotments, but not necessarily others. So I don't expect there's a role for the town council in that, but it just interests me that there's, we are dealing with individual, and there will be individual differences, I know, but there may be some things to learn from each of us.
There were two other points I've meant to add that I forgot about. One was just to note that the limited feedback I have had since the town council has been around about allotments is that knowing that it's transferring across causes concern that this might be a prequel to it being flogged off for housing or for something else. So we should be aware that people may be worried about that kind of thing, and assure them that's absolutely couldn't be further from everybody's minds. And the second thing was in terms of when we're talking with them about ideas they might have that they want to do, I think we should be thinking about whether there are opportunities to look at how the allotments develop in terms of more modern family types, where beginners often take on an allotment and it ends up being too much work. Should we be working with them about having more quarter or smaller plots, and also the possibility of finding a way to get a project going to create potentially some raised bed plots for people with disabilities?
Yes, exactly. There's all sorts of possibilities,
And again, I think for me, this comes back, obviously we had the conversation about speed indicator devices. It's the two assets we have at the moment, allotments and speed indicator devices. What's our ambition? What's our strategy? What's our vision for how we do that? Is it, keeping it ticking over and protecting them, or is it actually trying to drive that as a more powerful community asset? So I think, being clear on what our ambition is for these assets.
Knowing nothing about allotments and just having listened to you all, and just sort of making all those things, it sounds to me like, all the allotments look after themselves and do wonderful works for their areas, but it sort of sounds like someone just needs to keep an umbrella view of everything to make sure that, just say, one allotment's not maybe taking too much funds or doing X, Y, Z, and others aren't, and that understanding of actually what are they doing? If there's 6 of them, they're all working completely independently. One could be growing rice in the water barns, and one could be, things like that. It's just maybe that if they all come together as well under an umbrella, whether it's through the council, they can, as you say, work together. So it just sounds like we just need, to have that.
And enhance that community value.
Let's bring it together. Let's work together, and we can just keep an idea on what's going on.
And I was going to suggest as well, looking towards sort of next year, if you obviously have funds, you might be able to create, invite allotments to have projects to put forward where, you're not talking about vast sums of money, but it might be they want a community shed on an allotment site, things, because that's the other thing we encourage boroughs to work. We've had a community shed which we funded, and they used to use that for buying in bulk seeds and bulbs so that people had access to, very cost effective means and tools that they used to keep there that were shared.
Some of them do.
Okay, yeah. So it's all ideas like that sort of thing.
And I guess on the point of it not being an asset that we're there to make money from, clearly it's an asset we're currently generating an income from. You know, the kind of the net balance, what was it? £12,000 a year that we're generating as an income from those as an asset. But yeah. Okay.
So is the next thing to try and get them together as a group at some point?
Yes. Yeah. And I'd propose September once the school
Yeah.
holidays are finished. I think that would be better availability. And maybe we ought to use somewhere like Brighton Road Baptist Church because it's a bigger venue than this. And, yeah. So I'll reach out to members and suggest some dates and we'll get something in the diary. Thank you.
So there is a proposed resolution for this one, isn't there? If we're happy to move to that
Yes,
one.
please. Oh, do you want this? Oh, no.
Do you want me to read it out?
That's it.
Yeah. So resolve that the report be noted, and secondly, the interim clerk continues to engage with the district council to obtain full details of the grounds maintenance provision and associated costs, the invoicing and reporting process, including copies of the leases in place, and the timeline for the Highwood allotment site. Thirdly, an invitation is extended to the allotment societies to meet in September with nominated members of this committee. And then finally, a further report be presented to the Finance and General Purposes Committee, setting out the options and recommendations for improving financial oversight, income generation and maintenance consistency. Anybody like to propose that one? Councillor Boffey, and second, Councillor Fletcher.
Thank you.
And then take it to vote. Yeah, unanimous.
Thank you.
Went to the list.
So I think, someone came in.
The right person came
Okay, so moving on to item number 8, a collarette for use by the chair for wearing the badge.
Thank you, Chair.
Without having to wear the current heavy chain. I think about that comment.
Yes. So obviously, for those of you that are familiar with sort of chairs and mayors that wear these ceremonial chains, they are fairly heavy, and it is regular practice that instead of if there's an event where you don't need to wear the chain because it is just purely the badge of office, you can have this collarette that literally the badge will hang from. So it's just really to save the chains going out to every event. It just makes it's practical as well because you don't have to worry about them getting lost or you don't have to worry about the weight of them. So I did find online a company that does the ceremonial, and it's called a mitred neck ribbon, and it's actually called Wessex Awards, the company, and the maroon colour was chosen because it doesn't reflect any sort of political colours. And I checked with the chair, and he was very happy with the idea. He actually approached me about it, and so the cost is £44.95. And this would have to come from contingency funds, obviously, because we don't have a budget for that. It was to bring this to this committee first, because obviously you can't agree that expenditure because it's outside the budget. So it will have to go to full council. But I just thought I'd bring that to the committee to seek your views. Thank you.
It seems sensible to me to do this. Also, as an aside, having looked at the chain since Chris got it and was wearing it, I did notice that most of the dates on it are actually post 1974. So they're actually Horsham District Council chairs, not chairs of the Urban District Council group. So in many ways, depending on how you look at it historically, they don't actually go together anyway. So I think it only just adds to the reason why having a collarette probably
It's appropriate.
makes sense. Really. But I'm perfectly happy with it. It's a pretty modest sum to be outlaying, and it's actually kind of gonna, protect the chain from excessive usage anyway, whichever pennant it belongs on.
Another point of not really understanding things here. When you say wear the badge of office, do
Yes.
you mean the big dangly bit?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to be a bit of a curmudgeon here and say that if it's too kind of dangerous or too burdensome to wear the chains, why are you trying to wear the big, heavy, swinging and historically precious badge of office on a bit of tape? To me, it would seem more logical that you either wear the whole regalia or you wear a pin badge, maybe an enamelled pin badge that says Chair Horsham Town Council. The halfway house, I'm not really sure of the use case for it.
Sorry.
That's David Skiff, because he much preferred wearing the collar out when he was out and about because it reduces the weight substantially.
It does. It's the chains that actual badge isn't that heavy at all.
No,
I've handled that. It's the chains that are the heaviest part.
I think the point I'm making still stands that if you're going to be wearing the regalia for some events, you are going to be doing that. If it's burdensome, why not just swap straight to something that's small, cheap, and it doesn't matter? Because if you say you went out as the chair to the allotments and they say, "Oh, would you like to help dig this and that?" and you're doing stuff, it gets scratched and clonks around. That's not going to help by having it on a collarette. I'm not going to die in a ditch on this one, but that's my view.
Okay.
To go the whole way, or something that's cheap and cheerful and practical, rather than try and do a halfway house.
Okay.
Well, it's pretty cheap, practical. It's
£45.
Oh.
Any other views?
Well, I
Councillor
would
Thompson?
like to echo and support Councillor Murphy's views on the chain, and I think it's a very sensible idea.
So do we need to decide on this one, or is it a recommendation?
it's- yes.
We're deciding a recommendation.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Councillor.
Anybody happy to second? Councillor Thompson to second,
Thank you.
and a vote
Thank you.
for
And are you
And I'll abstain.
abstain? Thank you. Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, so on to item 9, which I know you're looking for a little bit of creative input for here, Clark. So
Thank
the Town Council website, member input on priority themes.
Thank you. Hopefully this report did make sense, and I was really keen to ensure that it wasn't muddying the waters with the other work streams that we've got going on. So obviously we know that if you're on the Policy and Resources Committee, there is a work stream at the moment developing a strategic forward plan. We've also got the work stream for full council where we're looking for members to identify projects and initiatives to help with the budget setting and the precepts. So this is another work stream. It's not duplicating. So the themes that I'm hoping that you could suggest will be short-term use of the website. So I'm not suggesting that these are themes that are going to be set in stone for the next year or anything like that. I'm looking for suggestions for sort of 3 to 4 months, just so that obviously we've got statutory information now on the website, but it's now really trying to sort of look to enhance that a little bit. Obviously, I don't have capacity to do wonders with it at the moment, but it would be good to have a steer about 3 or 4 themes that you think actually will be important to the residents. I think I've picked up, there was a conversation after the fun day that a lot of residents that did speak to you were talking about speeding and sort of highway issues. So one of the themes could be that we enhance the signposting for the county council, for people looking for speed watch volunteers. We could do a whole theme around highway safety, signposting. So it's if members, because obviously you talk to residents, I haven't had that opportunity, but you will probably know the priorities and people's thoughts on what they'd like to see on the website. So say it's nothing that's set in stone. It's not going to be, the next year, or just literally 3 or 4 quick fixes that you can think of that will be helpful. Thank you. Any questions?
One each. One each.
I think it's difficult to sort of distill this down, isn't it, to 3 or 4, but I'm very strongly in favour that we should be helping our residents know where to go to report things or what have you, find information. So I think that's something that we should be aiming to start and expect to build on. There are lots of things where people can help themselves if they know how to, and that's often the most efficient way to do it.
It is.
So I'd like us to be having a sort of basically a sort of report it kind of function that would feed people through to us for the things that we deal with. So I know that when historically Den has dealt with people find there are estate agents boards being left all over the place, and they get in touch with the estate agents and tell them come and collect them. So those are things like that would be for us. Things that go to the HDC, so if you're reporting, the graffiti or problems with bins or whatever it might be, things for HDs, for West Sussex, and then sort of outside agencies.
Thank you.
And we could potentially include highlighting the Horsham app, which is quite a good thing as well.
Oh, okay.
That seems to work very well. So I'd like having that method of reporting things and helping yourself and being one of them.
Thank you. That's a good idea.
I'm very much in favour of that sort of signposting with which councils to go to. I think it's important to state what we do. This is the town council, and this is what we're here. But one of the things I still don't understand, even now as a council, is bins, roads, potholes, education. Which council do I go to? Who do I go to? And if we have a sort of what we want to talk about, and then it's almost like that, and then you say signposting to that right council or direction. But I think it's also very important to highlight, as the town council, what we do.
Yes, thank you.
I think you've got 2 quite good themes there. One is that real. I sometimes refer to it as triage, or first point of contact. Really, town and parish councils are like to be thought of as the closest to their community layer of government. But I think, that signposting and wayfinding piece is really important, and clearly a lot of residents in various areas have been bringing up. I wouldn't want to kind of too much define the speed and highway safety issue. I think you probably have to work out exactly. That's enough to know at this stage that that's a theme, but exactly what that theme is and how it's worded at the moment probably needs a little bit of work.
Okay.
The third one of the things that I think has come up a little bit, this is going to be a difficult one to really for us to necessarily pin down as a thing, but I know it is kind of a concern for people, is the whole thing of all the things that they like about Horsham Town. How is that going to work post local government reorganisation? So we don't know is part of the problem with that and the answer, but I don't know whether there's a role for us in. It's almost like the other point, not just how does local government work at the moment, but how is it changing and keeping people up to date on what that actually means for them round here. It's almost kind of a local government reorganisation and devolution theme really in terms of people around here, but I appreciate it's not the most exciting thing necessarily, but I think it is something that people are a little bit concerned about.
And again,
thank you.
Again, probably signposting people to those resources that where they can find out more, because obviously there are kind of formal records
Like
of that.
where are we in the journey of that
Yeah,
at the
yeah.
moment, and
Yes.
and what comes next, and
Yes,
who to speak to if you want to know more about
Yeah.
any aspects of it.
thank you. That's good.
I think it's really important that we have, we have pictures. So I think we need to have a theme which is pictures and local news, what's happening,
Mm-hmm.
celebrating Horsham and a calendar of forthcoming events. So what's coming up, not just us, but that where we can, then outside organisations can tell us,
Feed
we've
in.
got a seed swap, or we've
Yes.
got this, or we've got
Yes.
that, and we can put that on our calendar. And then when things are happening that we're at, or that we have photos sent in from us to us from other people, we
Yes.
can put that up and celebrate what's been going on.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Little news write-ups of a few words on each of them.
Thank you.
And I think part of that signposting and local organisations is about, it's not just about signposting to the right council, it's signposting to external, interested parties, whether it's Horsham Matters or the cycling group or whatever it is, these groups that people don't know exist, many of which I didn't know existed until I had the council.
Yeah, the parish meeting.
Yeah. So those who would be interested in having new members, but also members, people really interested in understanding that there are allotments. How do you get on the allotments? Or they're interested in cycling. Or there are people who take an interest in, nature corridors or whatever. So I think there's an opportunity there to join some of the dots on behalf of the residents.
Brilliant, thank you. That's really good ideas, thank you. And I've reached out as well to all those organisations that came to the parish meeting, because there will be a report for full council next week, looking at representation on outside bodies. And a lot of them are coming back with really positive response. They would very much like a representative from the town council to either attend meetings or have, and I'm not talking about every month, we're talking about quarterly, or it could be a walk around, or so I think that's really positive. It's been a great response, actually. So I'll feed that all to the report for full council, but hopefully that will really help us, because if there's somebody from the town council, one of you is there representing the town council, or even two of you, it means that those reports will be coming back, because it's difficult for me at the moment to talk to all these people. So that would be really helpful. And like you say, the parish meeting for me was really exciting, because there is so much here in Horsham. Everything is here, all the ingredients. And it's a really exciting opportunity.
So obviously we're going to be having various projects that don't yet exist, so they can't be on the website at the moment. But in terms of what's happening, regardless of us, there is a lot of going on in terms of developments around the place. So we've got Highwood is continuing to build out. We've got a planning application down for the Hornbrook. There are other applications that are going on. I wonder whether we might have a sort of a theme on the website where people know how to get in touch with the process, and potentially there may be cases where we want to actually convene parties together where things are happening. So, for example, one of the things that I think North Horsham Parish has done successfully is on the North Horsham development at Mowbray and on the Novartis development in their area. They've convened a sort of multi-party meetings every however many months, intermittent, not frequent, and it's been a very effective way of making sure that all the different sort of agencies and stakeholder groups that are involved, whether that be highways or churches or the developer, are updating each other on what's happening and understanding each other's points of view. So,
thank you. Okay. Thank you.
Any final points on this one?
I was just going to say, considering the only 3 to 4 month little setup here,
Yeah.
you've got enough ideas.
Enough.
I think,
Yeah.
Take 3 to 4 months just to
Yeah.
thank you. That's really
And
helpful.
get some pictures in.
So there is a suggested resolution here, or is that you got the input you need, or
So
do we just
I
kind
think
of-
I've got the input I need. I think, what did we say in
I
the
think it
end?
was just a case
Yeah,
of
just to say, you've approved the proposed approach, you've identified your shortlist, and you agree that those themes are reported to full council for endorsement. So that will be a report that will go off next week, those themes for endorsement by the full council.
okay.
So everyone's happy with that.
Anyone like to take that to a vote then? Anyone
Yes.
to propose?
Councillor
Councillor Thompson,
Thank you.
second,
Thank you, Councillor Lakey.
and to a vote.
Thank you very much.
Nearly there, Ruth.
I think I've got.
Thank you.
All right. So finally, then,
Yep.
next meeting, 10th of September. So
Yep.
break for summer.
Yes.
And we'll close the meeting.
Thank you very much. 1935. Let's end that stream.